Hello everybody, I am Atharva Thorat and today I am going to talk about Mughal Maratha Wars from 1682 to 1707. So before talking about the war, I will like to tell about the background of the same initially. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj died on 3rd of April 1680 and while he died, he, he had made a kingdom which he called the Swaraj or the kingdom of the indigenous peoples which stretched directly from Vapi to Thane, Kalyan, Raigad, Sindhudurg, Nashik, Pune, Kolhapur, Satara, parts of Karnataka uh, like Athni, all the way to Vellore in Tamil Nadu, even Jinj in Tamil Nadu, and Fonda in today's Goa. So with this legacy left behind, he left this world at the age of 50. And after that, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj ascended the throne. And while Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj ascended the throne, he had his formal corono- coronation in 1681. And immediately after that, he sacked the Mughal city of Burhanpur. And while he did this, in the next 1 year, many events happened. It were both internal as well as external. And during this time, one thing happened. One of the one of the sons of Aurangzeb, whose name was Akbar, he rebelled against his father with the help of Durgadas Rathod, and and while he had rebelled in Delhi, it was some way or the other an unsuccessful rebellion, and due to which he had to take an asylum with Sambhaji Maharaj. So this was a kind of trigger to Aurangzeb, because of which he got a reason to attack the Maratha kingdom under the leadership of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj actually intended to use Akbar for diplomatic purposes, and he was trying to do in that way. So Aurangzeb came with a strong force of 5 lakh soldiers in 1682 to Deccan. And while he came to Deccan, Sambhaji Maharaj was already battling on some fronts with the Siddhis of Janjira. And during this time, Sambhaji Maharaj had to battle on many fronts. Aurangzeb gave support to the Siddhis of Janjira, to the Portuguese of Goa, and to the Mysore kingdom too. So this way, Sambhaji Maharaj was was in fact battling a four-front war at four different frontiers. In the initial days, Aurangzeb laid siege to the fort of Ramses, which was actually at the borders of the kingdom, which is located in today's Nashik district. And it was rather a small fort, so he started with a small fort. But the then but the then general who was guarding the fort at that time gave a stiff fight to him, and the fight was so stiff that even in 5 years he wasn't able to capture it. He wasn't able to capture that fort for in fact 5 years. So while these all things were happening, Sambhaji Maharaj had attacked Janjira. He had even attacked Goa. He had defeated the Portuguese, the Siddhis of Janjira. He had even attacked Mysore and defeated the king Chikkadevaraya there. But each time he had also to battle to the Mughals. While he was while he was battling the Siddhis of Janjira, the Mughals attacked Konkan from the side of Kalyan and Bhivandi. Sambhaji Maharaj soon retaliated the attack and pushed them back. And while he was on his campaign to Goa, they had uh, they had come to South Konkan and attacked it, the Mughals. Again, they had to face the defeat under Sambhaji Maharaj. So the Mughals were attacking under Aurangzeb, and each time Marathas under Sambhaji Maharaj were defending. So each time the Mughals were defeated. So seeing these all things, Aurangzeb changed his strategy, and that time in Deccan there were two more sultanates remaining, which were basically the breakaway factions of the earlier Bahmani kingdom, which were the Adil Shahi of Bijapur and the Qutub Shahi of Golconda, and they had in fact allied to Sambhaji Maharaj against the Mughals. So Aurangzeb attacked Bijapur as well as Golconda and defeated the Adil Shahi and Qutub Shahi forces and dissolved these two kingdoms totally and absorbed them into his empire. Due to this thing, his strength had increased considerably. And while these all things happened during the time period of 1686 to 1687, one more important incident happened. Hambir Rao Mohite was the commander in chief of the Maratha army. In the Battle of Vai, the Mughals had attacked the Marathas, and in fact the Marathas had defeated the Mughals over there. But unfortunately, Hambir Rao Mohite died in that war as a, as a cannon hit him just at the end of the war. So after Hambir Rao Mohite, Malhoji Ghorpade was made the next commander in chief of the Maratha army by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. So while these all things happened, Aurangzeb wasn't able to win a single fort in Maharashtra at that time. Ultimately, he won the Ramshej fort, but there were more forts. More than 300 forts were present at that time. So if he took 5 to 6 years to win a single fort, one can just imagine to win all the forts what time he would have to take. So he started using tertiary. So how this tertiary in fact went is very interesting. Earlier the breakaway factions of the Bahmani Sultanate that were ruling Deccan had in fact used a kind of system called Watan, and it was in fact a feudal grant given, in which the title was given hereditary to govern or collect revenue from an area. During his reign, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj applied a policy of not giving these watans, especially the new watans, and the earlier watandars that were there. He had in fact retained some of them, but those who weren't governing properly were removed from him were removed by him. But he strictly avoided not to give new watans or such type of grants. And the same policy was also in fact applied by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. They in fact started paying the salaries in cash to their soldiers and the men employed by them. But this but due to this, Aurangzeb was to a certain extent successful in using tertiary by giving them promises actually which weren't really true. He had just given them showed them some kind of offers which weren't really going to come in existence in order to break them away from Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. So in this due course of time, it somewhat affected him. And in 1689, Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj had in fact he was in Panhala, and after that he had a very small contingent, and he had moved to Sangameshwar while traveling back to Raigad, which was his capital. So while he did this, the thing that happened is that there are many controversies as to how the Mughals reached Sangameshwar under a commander. They in fact with a very strong contingent reached Sangameshwar, while Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj had a very small contingent. He was in fact there to for making a certain judgment for a feud between some parties. So while that general, his name was Sheikh Nizam, he reached there and he defeated the force and captured Sambhaji Maharaj alive. The rest is history. That how he was, what he was asked, and how he was ultimately killed by Aurangzeb. We will talk about it in detail some other time. So Sambhaji Maharaj died at in 11th of March 1689 at Tulapur, and after he died, his younger brother Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj became the Chhatrapati or the king. While these all things were happening, the Mughals led the siege to the Maratha capital of Raigad. While they led this siege, uh, the widow of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, Yesubai, was also on the fort. And according to her advice, Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj, along with his wife Tarabai and some other important generals, left left Raigad and traveled all the way to Jinji in Tamil Nadu. Ultimately, ultimately Raigad was captured by the Mughals, and in fact, in fact, Maharani Yesubai and the son of Sambhaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj, were captured by Aurangzeb. So ultimately, this time the Maratha capital was moved to Jinji. So while the Maratha capital was moved to Jinji and Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj was staying in Jinji, the war in Maharashtra was carried out decisively by Santaji Ghorpade, Dhanaji Jadhav, Ramchandra Pant Amatya, and Shankraji Narayan. The siege of Jinji, it was a siege that the Mughals had done in Jinji as Rajaram Maharaj was residing there, and this siege continued for many years until 1698. And during this time, Santaji Ghorpade and Dhanaji Jadhav were battling tremendously in Deccan too. And in 1698, ultimately Jinji fell. But this also caused a tremendous harm and loss to the Mughals under Aurangzeb. Ultimately, Jinji fell, but Rajaram Maharaj was lucky enough to escape the siege there, and he, along with his family, returned to Maharashtra in 1698. 1698. In the due time, Dhanaji Jadhav had defeated the Mughals near Pandharpur, and during this course of time, another thing happened. The thing was that Santaji Ghorpade was actually the commander in chief of the Marathas, but he had some disputes, and due to these internal disputes, he he was killed in 1696. And one more interesting thing during the time of Rajaram Maharaj was that he had started, in fact giving the watans again, which was uh, which was a policy employed by the earlier rulers, but was halted by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and uh, the same was continued by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. But Rajaram Maharaj again started to give watans in order to avoid torture, because Aurangzeb was in fact using watans as a grid to use torture and divide the Marathas. So after Rajaram Maharaj came back to Maharashtra, one of the generals, Krishnaji Sawant, crossed the Narmada and raided the Mughal areas. And then again, after his return to Maharashtra of Rajaram Maharaj, the Mughals faced a series of defeats in battles against the Marathas. Rajaram Maharaj died in 1700 AD at Sinhagad. So while he died, he had his eldest son, whose name was also Shivaji Maharaj the second, we will call him in fact. So his widowed wife Tarabai placed her son, who was in fact a child, Shivaji Maharaj second, on the throne and took whole of the administration in her hand. While this all happened, the Mughals started attacking Maratha forts, most notably Satara. They in fact captured Satara. But now, interestingly, in 1701, signs of strains began in the Mughal camp, as there were as they were here for almost 19 years without any conclusive win or so. In 1704, Aurangzeb captured Torna, Rajgarh, and some other Maratha forts, mostly by bribing mostly by bribing the officers over there. The final Maratha counteroffensive began in 1705, wherein two Maratha factions, one led by Nemaji Shinde, who crossed the Narmada and reached directly till Bhopal, and other under Khanderao Dabhade, who who reached up to Bharuch. So Bharuch. So this was a time when the Marathas had started to cross the Narmada and attack deep in the Mughal areas. In 1706, the Mughals started retreating. Many of the Mughals had in fact started retreating from the Maratha domains. And during this same time, the Maratha commander-in-chief Dhanaji Jadhav marched into the Sahyadris and recaptured almost all the major forts that were being lost earlier. So what was the conclusion of this? Aurangzeb ultimately died in 1707 near Ahmednagar. He had came to Deccan in 1682. He was here for 25 years, but he wasn't able to win the Maratha kingdom. After coming to Deccan in 1682, he never went back to Delhi until his death. He was in fact buried at Khultabad, which is near today's Aurangabad, and he wasn't able to go back to Delhi ever in his last 25 years. He had in fact came here. When he had came here, he had thought that he will end his campaign in 1 or 2 years, but he wasn't successful in that. It was ultimately a defeat when he was at his peak, and this happened under the leadership of Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj, and Maharani Tarabai. The three of them ultimately defeated him when he was at his peak, and this war in fact caused a great loss to the Mughal Empire in terms of finances, in terms of men they lost, in terms of resources they lost, and much more. It was a great, and this war that is why also called the Maratha War of Independence. So this is one of the very and interesting chapters in the history. Thank you.